What is going on, everybody? How we doing today? It is a Wednesday night, and yeah, we're gonna do our Wednesday night stream. I hope you're doing well. I hope you're doing well. Okay. Me a little bit tired. Not gonna lie. I've look. I'm still kind of adjusting to my new schedule. Now that I'm back to work and stuff like that. So because of that, I've been a little you know. Excuse me. It is what it is. I'll be fine in like another week or so. But I'm not gonna lie to you. I am a little like deflated today, so I apologize if I'm wearing that. If I am wearing that, but today is a Wednesday, okay, and we're gonna be deep diving into a website that I found a little while ago. It's called. I might as well just show it to you. I've showed it to you guys a few times. There it is. Uh, it's called The Modern Insurgent. All right, we're gonna go ahead. We're going to deep dive into this website. We're gonna check out their database. Okay. Um, oh, interesting. We're gonna check out their database and we're gonna look at some stuff. We're gonna start with North America at the very least, and then we'll see where it ends up going. Um, it's like I said though. We'll see. Yep, there it is. I thought I almost hit the wrong one. Um, Damn, I had something to say. I I had something to say, man. I had something to say. What's going on, Fish Tank Moments? How you doing? And this is kind of what I'm talking about, where I'm a little bit deflated because like I'm just uh, my Wednesdays are a little weird. I'm actually considering moving this to like a Tuesday or something else. Although I don't know how well that's gonna work out because just the way my Wednesdays are is a little bit tough for me. In addition to that, I got to really start putting more effort into the Friday streams again. I got to start doing like Jeopardies and just having other collabs and stuff like that is what I got to do. Um, the story being that Fish Tank, I wasn't gonna try and compete with Fish Tank. I wouldn't blow them out of the water like that. I'm too nice of a guy to blow Fish Tank out of the water. So, I didn't bother. I didn't bother. I let them have it because I'm a nice guy. I'm a nice guy. I wasn't gonna try and compete with Fish Tank or anything like that. So I took 6 weeks where I was just like, yeah, yeah, we're still gonna stream, but we're not gonna do like tons of crazy stuff. And then when Fish Tank ended, I was like, okay, yeah, let's get back at it. Let's start planning like special streams with collaborative guests. I mean, yeah, that is what I'd be doing. And just other like fun stuff to do specifically on the Fridays, and it just it just hasn't worked out because of one thing or another. It's kind of a very busy time of my life. I'm getting certain things figured out. Um, and because of that, my mind is in places other than with my streaming. But I like streaming. I enjoy streaming. So even if I can't make everything super extra special, then I'm gonna keep on doing it. Obviously, I enjoy it. Look, I'm right now because of how everything went down with season three. I'm old hat, and because of that, the fish tank world, the fish tank community doesn't give a shit about me anymore. They want to watch Bert or like Banks or whoever, right? It's all good, right? If I was upset about that, I wouldn't be saying it out loud. I'd be like, no, no, I'm sure they just went to the store to get cigarettes. I'm sure that's what it is. They went to the store to buy milk. They're gonna be back, right? And because of that, like my streams have gone down in terms of viewership, but like, who cares? I enjoy doing this, so I'm going to do it. But I'm just explaining why I've been like all scatterbrained and shit like that, including on a day like today. It is what it is. It is what it is. But I've been working out again, which is good. For like a month to a month and a half, I was just eating whatever the fuck I felt like and not working out because of just a couple of different things that were going on. Holidays, and then like knowing that I was gonna go back to work, so I was kind of like, fuck it, I'm just gonna enjoy life for a little longer, etc., etc. But I'm finally back on my diet. And I bought a treadmill. So I've been running every day. I'm not sure if I'm going to be able to run tonight. I'm not sure if that's going to happen, but we will see. We will see. And if I don't run tonight, it's literally going to be because of this. It's literally because I'm like, oh hey, let's make sure that I stream today. But anyway, man. So I found this website. Excuse me. Jeez. Yeah. All right. Anywho, I found this website, right? It's called Modern Insurgent. I did that last time. Modern Insurgent, okay? And it's interesting to me because it catalogs a bunch of different movements, groups, even gangs, right? Across the world. And it just talks about them, right? It's almost like Wikipedia for um I guess you could say it's almost like Wikipedia for a bunch of like extremist groups and things like that. Not that all of them are necessarily extremist groups on here. Some of them are criminal gangs, and then other ones are just cringe boomer memes and things like that. But the idea being, um, I find it interesting, and I've always found stuff like this interesting. I could tell you the history of the Crips. I could tell you the history of the Bloods. I could tell you the history of like certain other groups and stuff like that. Patriot Front, for instance, right? A lot of people think Patriot Front are federales, and are they infiltrated? Most certainly, of course. Any group that gets to be that size is going to have infiltrators, or at the very least, confidential informants among the ranks. Um, and when it comes to Patriot Front, though, a lot of people don't realize that they sprung out of Vanguard America, which is basically like a proto Patriot Front kind of group. You can actually see the leader of Patriot Front, I almost said James Fields, Thomas Rousseau, in a picture with James Fields at Unite the Right back in 2017. You remember what happened there with James Fields. After that happened, Thomas Rousseau was like, I think this brand's tainted and the leadership is fucking stupid. I obviously don't know exactly the every little piece. I obviously don't know every little piece of the lore behind it, but he ended up breaking off, and a lot of the people from his chapter in Texas, they ended up coming with him, and they formed Patriot Front. That is the history of Patriot Front. When they went on a march a few years ago, it happened a couple of times. A lot of people trying to say that they were feds or something like that, and it's like, no, they're look, are there feds in there? Yeah, of course, because that's just the way it works. But um, they're not. They're not a group that was set up to be a honeypot. If they were a honeypot group, they would be doing much, much worse stuff than walking through public with flags and masks. Okay, groups like that, they walk through public yelling slurs and trying to assault people and do other things to agitate. That's just the playbook. That's the playbook. And this isn't an endorsement of Patriot Front either. It's just like I'm just telling you about a more recent group where it's like, oh, where did those guys come from? Well, I did the research. That's where they come from. Um, but yeah, anyway. So yeah, I want to look into this stuff. Cossacks in the Russo-Ukrainian War. Okay, that's interesting. I'm curious about what the hell this is supposed to be, but um, I don't know exactly I don't know exactly which one we're going to start with right away, but I think we'll start with North America. And mm, I'm trying to think of what we've already gone through. We already did FSU, which for some reason FSU is not here right now. Literally, FSU is not here right now. I cannot find FSU. That's interesting. I'm curious then. Did they change it around? No. No, they didn't. And apparently there's two animal liberation fronts. You see, excuse me. This is the thing with these websites, right? Or not even just these websites, but the kind of people who would write something on a website like this is a lot of it is just self-aggrandizing. It's like all of these people would fancy themselves some kind of researcher or something like that. They'd probably call themselves like open source intelligence gatherers or some shit like that, or whatever slang term they have for them. And It's damn Scott, the new merch store looks amazing. It does, doesn't it? It does, doesn't it? Excuse me. The issue with a lot of these sites though is that much of the time it's self-aggrandizement from these people, you know? Like you have this guy, right? Antoine Brimall, and then you have Riles Kiley, who both have the Animal Liberation Front. And I think it's interesting that they both decided to put one there, and it's specifically because they both have either a political bent to what they're trying to write, or b, uh, whoever wrote the second one, right? This one was written in 2022. I guarantee you this Riles Kiley character. They probably took a look at this first one and were like, actually, that's wrong. That's wrong, actually. And they decided to put their own on there, right? It's just, it's stupid. It's stupid. And I enjoy stuff like this, but if there's one thing I can't stand, it's the people. It's the fucking people who do this stuff that I can't stand. They're just it's all about trying to feel like you are the smartest guy in the room. You're the best researcher in the room. You know more about the Nazi groups. You know more about the Nazi groups. And you have like the esoteric knowledge, and also you're like a secret agent as well. That's what it is. It's you're a secret agent who has all the esoteric knowledge. You're someone who you can it's just stupid, you know. It's people who have nothing better to do, and that's the thing. Is like me as someone who's also interested in groups like this. Um, you know, as someone who's also interested in groups like this, it's usually when I have nothing better to do that I'll like turn on a fucking YouTube documentary or like an interview or a something. You know, I'll turn something on, right? And I'll be playing video games and I'll be listening to the history of like Mojahideen e Calc or whatever the fuck, or Blood and Honor or whatever it is, you know, whatever it is. Um, they're the good guys. Know thy enemy. This aesthetic is so camp. I don't even know what we're talking about. Art school kids who watch too much TV. Yeah, yeah, and that's kind of what it is, gay guy. And like I said, I'm a little bit fucked up today because I'm just like I'm exhausted. But that's basically what I was trying to say. Is these are a lot of art school kids who they didn't want like they don't have anything going for themselves, so their thing is trying to pretend like they're fighting some kind of culture war, you know. And like when it comes to the culture war, I do think it exists, but to be someone who is actively like participating in it in this way is usually fucking cringe, because you create websites like this, and well, it's like I said, I'm fascinated by it because it's personally just something of my own, right? But I don't know about these groups. I don't know about like Patriot Front or this group right here, or the Hells Angels or anything like that. I don't know about them because I think it's going to help me in some kind of like weird informational culture war or something like that. That's not what it is. A lot of these people are doing it because they're like, I'm a culture warrior and I'm totally going to expose everybody, you know. Um, that's what happens. A lot of these artiste types, they end up getting into it. Like another thing that I noticed, I talked about this. Hong Kong 2 is back. Hong Kong 2 is back. Chris and Ben are doing Hong Kong 2 again, and I was on one of the more recent episodes of Hong Kong 2 a little bit under a year ago. I think they did like another episode or two after mine. And one of the things that I talked about is like band geeks. They get out of high school and then like they just look for any way that they can insert a fucking trumpet into whatever it is they're doing, you know. And if like when I was watching live streams of like riots and street fights and other political shit from the 2016 to 2020 era of politics, I noticed that there was always at least that one guy with a trombone who was like, I'm gonna play music, you know. And it'll be like it's always someone on the left, mind you. It's always a leftist, because you know leftists tend, you know, the theater kids tend to be leftists. That's just what they are. There's always some guy who's like they're yelling fuck you fascists, and then like you hear the guy, "Burr, burr, burr, burr," and it's like, dude, get out of here, man. Get the fuck out of here. You know, nobody wants you here. Nobody thinks you're cool or quirky because you have a fucking trombone. You brought a trombone to the street fight. Congratulations, idiot. You know, um, those are the kinds of people, right? Excuse me. I guarantee you, at least one of these people has brought a trombone to a street fight in their lifetime. I guarantee it. I would bet money that one of these people did that. You know, um, or I stumbled upon this one day, fuck, I think they called it a resistance choir. You know, like that's the thing about like commie bullshit, is that there's always a bunch of hangers on who they have absolutely zero skills when it comes to truly being able to push their revolution forward, but they just sit around singing. You know, it's like the commies. There was that one Twitter post somebody made saying like, a lot of these people who want a revolution can't tell you what they're gonna do for work after the revolution. They just think they just think they're gonna like, you know, these people, they think they're gonna be able to like make lattes after the revolution, as if we don't need people who fucking are gonna work the fields and stuff like that. Excuse me. Um, you know, it's like it's those kinds of people, and they sit there and they talk all about like, yeah, revolution, this, that, the other thing, and the only skill they bring to the table is, I can sing. It's like, well, can you fight? No. No, I can't. I can sing. Actually, I kind of have an ethical problem with the idea of violence, but you can be the one to kill everybody. You can be the one to kill everybody. That's fine by me. I'm gonna be in the back singing. I'll sing a rousing tune. I'll sing Russia's national anthem while you're doing all the work, and that's why communism in America won't ever work, because um, you know, it's you're never going to be able to get people to side with that kind of person. You know, communism in Russia, communism in China, it was real people. Like you can say whatever you want about commies and communist revolution and things like that, but like it was real people who did real shit, who were leading the revolution and were around after the revolution. Commies today in America specifically, they're just people who like, you know, they played the flute in high school and they went to college for something that they couldn't get a job in. Knowingly went to college for something they would not be able to get a job in, and now they're mad about it. So they play their flute during the commie festival, and they act like that's helping, you know. Um, and that's what a lot of these people are. That's what a lot of these people are. You know, it's just they can't even play instruments. Maybe, like I said, at least one of these guys did it. I'm sure. At least one of these guys did it. But I'm sure. I'm sure a lot of these people are even less talented than like the band geek who brings the tuba. You know, who brings the sousaphone to the rally. You know. Anyway, I'm curious because FSU was in here at one point, but now it's gone. We literally went over FSU. I'm not sure. What the fuck? Anywho, yeah, like it's here. It's here. It just doesn't have it doesn't have any tags anymore, so you can't find it in North America, which is interesting. You know, we read this last time, right? And again, this is a great example, right? This Robert Bobby Acuna guy, right? You can tell he's just like a fucking weirdo. You can tell he's just like a weird idiot, you know? And like if you read specifically this right here, the histories and foundations thing, it goes, okay, talking a little bit about you know, the scene that FSU sprung out of, I suppose. Still not quite on point with what he should be talking about, but at least he's kind of working towards something. And then you'll notice out of nowhere, bam, it's just like two paragraphs, probably what could be made into three paragraphs. This one looks a little long, of him just talking about one guy from the organization. And the reason why he did that is because he was trying his best to propagandize this organization in a positive way. He was trying to spin this in a positive way when really FSU was a bunch of losers who would just like start fights because that's just what they did. That's just what they were for, you know. There's just a bunch of guys who wanted to start fights. They just wanted to be the biggest bullies in the music scene in Boston, Philly, fucking New York, etc., etc., you know. Um I have a passion for mining coal. I hope they don't make me paint shit after the Common Revolution. Oh, dude, fucking look, Big Uncle Ruckus. There's plenty of coal miners out there. All right, you got to ask yourself how many coal miners are there out there? All right, and how many do we need? How many painters are there though? Not nearly enough. Not nearly enough. So you better pick up that brush, or you're going to the gulag. You going to the gulag. Ever played Age of Mythology? Should gaslight Taylor from PKA to play it with you on stream. We actually went through an AOM phase, and it was fun while it lasted, but I could never get into it in a real way. I would literally only ever play it with him. And now we've basically moved back to AOE, and then I'm also playing Counter Strike because some of the other guys that we play with, they've moved on from AOE. So like, if Taylor's on, I'll play AOE. If he's not, I'll play Counter Strike. Is usually how it goes with me. But anyway, yeah, I mean, I should have Taylor back on at some point in the near future. You know, I'm sure he'd be down for it. Play a few games of AOE. Although I'll be honest with you, I've been eating absolute shit lately. I've gotten a lot better, and it comes down to a strategy that I picked up that I've shown you guys before, right? And like you know, if you've been watching my AOE streams, you've seen that it works for me. I'll have to do a dedicated AOE stream soon. Maybe that'll be Friday or something. Oh no, it couldn't be Friday because that's when the next fish tank episode is gonna come out. We'll do a dedicated AOE stream soon though, regardless. But yeah, I'll have to have him on at some point. You know, it just sucks because when I'm playing alone, I do pretty well. But when I'm playing with him, his elo is quite a bit higher than mine. So we get people whose elos are also quite a bit higher than mine. So I end up getting fucked up a lot of the time. You know, I'm dead weight is what I am. You know, and I do like. I feel bad enough like being that guy when we're just playing ourselves. If it's like me and him on a stream, it's like, oh fuck, oh boy, because we're gonna want to bring our A game, of course. We're gonna want to bring our A game, you know. Um, oh man, grandiose idea of what they'd be like behind a gun, exactly. You know, I have an acquaintance who for a while thought he was the second coming of the H man. Wow, that's crazy. Uh, Dudes who aren't crazy but consume enough media to become crazy are the exact type of people these guys are. They'd fold at the first sign of resistance to anything, including their ideas. Oh yeah, exactly. You know, um, and not only that, but the purity of the ideas gets really fucking weird. It either becomes extremely puritanical to a point where literally nobody can keep up with it, or it becomes a situation like this one dude, right? I interviewed this guy on 09A a while ago, Order of Nine Angles, and he sent me. I'm gonna, you know what? Fuck it, right? Um, um, what's it called? Uh, yeah. Out of out of habit, when I'm gonna type something in here, I'm like, oh, let's go back to this screen because like I had a moment in high school where I had a moment in high school where I was I brought my laptop into school and I typed in X and XNXX popped up. And yeah, my buddies never let me live that down. My buddies never let me live that down. It didn't even pop up to porn itself. Just the link. Just the link, you know. I didn't know about incognito mode at the time, but you know, also like fucking, I was in high school. Everybody's a coomer in high school, but I'm gonna show you like the type of shit that I'm talking about, right? Like like this type of shit. This type of shit right here. That's what ends up happening in these situations where people get a little bit too into politics online is they end up either A, becoming so puritanical that literally nobody can live up to their standards, not even themselves, mind you, but they play into this thing where they're like, dude, I'll just police everybody else and then everyone will think I'm perfect. And that's where you get dudes who are like, dude, what do you mean you watched porn once? Dude, what the fuck? Dude, bro, are you kidding me? Like they talk to you like that. Um, eh, there was oh yeah. Literally the other day I saw something like this where a guy was like, "Oh, look, you can date whoever the hell you want. A woman gets her beliefs through dick. You should be able to inseminate your beliefs into her via your dick." It's like that's one of those puritanical like I'm an alpha male and I'm gonna like police everybody else. I'm gonna shit all over everybody else, uh, in hopes that nobody's gonna look at me and realize that I'm a fucking loser, you know. And then you have the other end of it, which is what I just showed you, like the fucking thigh high, trans national socialist with a black sun flag types of fucking people. It's so weird what the internet does to people's beliefs, and I think it's just I think it's a couple of different things. I think it's a couple of different things that the internet makes it easier for. If all that makes sense. Accidentally deleted that, but yeah, lol. Always muddled and unclear. They're like not really sure of themselves. Yeah. Oh yes. But anyway, so it's about time we get into one of these, and I'm thinking we start off with a where's Crips? There's no fucking Crips. Oh, I'm thinking we'll start off with one that's familiar, but you may not know all that much about. And I also know the history of the Crips. Um, after like watching a lot of stuff on them over the years. So I'm curious because there's a couple of different foundation myths about them. Um, and I just want to see if this one lines up with the understanding that I have. So, Crips insurgency overview. Uh, the Crips are an American street gang founded by Raymond Washington. There are many disputing narratives regarding the exact year of their establishment, with some saying that the organization was founded in 1971 and others claiming it was formed in 1969. This ambiguity finds its roots in the number of theories regarding the gangs. I almost said the gang's initial intentions for its establishment. The Crips are present throughout the United States, having gained a reputation for illegal activities such as drug trafficking, murder, extortion, racketeering, and theft. They expand their territorial outreach by establishing alliances or sets throughout the country, uh, although not all are connected. Crips distinguish themselves from other gangs by representing and wearing the color blue, occasionally purple, as of the time of writing. The Crips have about 800 sets in 221 U.S. cities, with around 30,000 to 35,000 total members, most prominently being active in Los Angeles, California. The Crips' influence is not only spread by the area which they control, but also their connections within pop culture. Many established hip hop artists such as Snoop Dogg, Schoolboy Q, Eazy-E, Pop Smoke, Blueface, and Nipsey Hussle have had strong, because half of those dudes are dead, strong affiliations with the Crips, brandishing their symbols and colors in songs and videos. So, um, that's not like terrible. Raymond Washington was one of the founders, but then also there was Tookie Williams, and he was basically when it comes to Tookie Williams, right? You can say whatever you want about Raymond Washington. Tookie Williams was like very anti-gang, according to what I've heard about him with the history of the Crips. And then eventually he just kept getting fucked with by a bunch of other gangs that were in his area to a point where he was like, well, I guess we got to start a neighborhood watch. And that neighborhood watch just turned into a fucking gang, you know? Some people say that like the Crips were started by former Black Panthers. I'm not too sure about that. When it comes to the Crips, I tend to focus in on Tookie Williams because it just I don't know. I don't know. Now that I think of it, I haven't looked too deep into Raymond Washington because whenever I look into the Crips, it's always they always just go straight to Tookie Williams a lot of the time. But Raymond Washington and Tookie Williams were like the two biggest guys in the gang. And they were kind of both responsible for starting and building up different quadrants of the gang, if you will, you know, because you had the original Crip set or sets, whatever you want to call it, and then Tookie Williams kind of did his own thing a little bit further away from where those original ones were. To my understanding, the term you see here's the thing with like specifically like black culture. I've noticed they love acronyms, and they'll have like five different acronyms for like the same fucking thing, you know. Like one guy, he said that CRIPS stands for Community Resistance in Progress or something like that, or you know, CRIP. um you know, and then another one that I heard was that they used to carry canes and shit like that before guns really became a big part of gang culture. They used to carry canes, and because of that, they became known as the Crips because, you know, they carry canes, they must be crippled, haha. Um, so it could be anything. It could be anything. And the nature of something like this is that it's very, very disorganized. You know, it sprung out of South Central Los Angeles, and the thing is, like, nobody really was like it's not organized crime. Is the bottom line. This is not organized crime. The Crips are more of a flag to fly under than they are like an official organization or anything like that. You know, even saying this, like the Crips have about 800 sets in 221 U.S. cities. It's like, do they though? Who is the Crip? Who is does Mr. Crip uh, get money from all 800 sets in those 221 cities? Like, no, you know. Um, a lot of Crip gangs fight each other. You know, a lot of Crip gangs have disagreements that end up in bloodshed and things like that. There was a point in time where it was like 1 in 3 Crips are killed by other Crips and things like that. So it's kind of a funny situation, and it's sort of a misunderstanding to even have them in here because for one thing, they're not an insurgent group in the way that like you know, fucking Atomwaffen or something like that is. But then in addition to that, like they're not even really an organized group per se, you know. Even the Proud Boys are a little bit more organized than them, and they have more like a you know, they to my understanding, they kind of have a similar setup, but they're a little bit more organized because at the very least they have like a national leader and things like that. Once Gavin McInnes stepped down, they installed Enrique Tarrio as their national guy. You know, the Crips don't have a national guy. They don't have like they don't even have like a Redwood original. You know, from Sons of Anarchy. You remember Sam Crow, Sons of Anarchy Motorcycle Club, Redwood original. Haha, like they don't even have that. It's just like whatever, you're a Crip. You start wearing blue. And even then you don't wear blue like you used to, you know, like in the, you know, 70s, 80s, 90s, it was a little bit of a different culture back then, you know. Now a lot of guys know like, oh, if I'm walking around wearing the color blue, everybody just knows I'm a Crip, and if they got beef with me, they're going to try and kill me before I know it. And in addition to that, the cops are going to be like, oh, that's a Crip, we should harass that guy, you know. Um real ends don't wipe. Oh boy. Oh boy. Anyway, Rip. It's so fun. It's so fun to talk like these guys. Just next time you're like flossing your teeth in the mirror or something like that. Next time you're alone, just be like, Rip. Just do that. It's so funny. It's so like it's one of those things you make yourself laugh and then you're like, I'm such a fucking weirdo. I'm a freak, dude. I'm such a fucking freak, dude. Anyway, history and foundations. All right. You see, I didn't know that I didn't, you know, I should have checked these out first because I wouldn't have given you like my understanding before reading this shit to you guys. I wouldn't have given you guys my understanding before reading this to you guys if I had known, you know. My bad. Anyway. The Crips, History and Foundations. Throughout the 60s and 70s, African Americans suffered significantly from the country's post-World War II economic decline and severe racial segregation. Post-World War II economic decline. Oh, it says 60s and 70s. I saw post-World War II. It's like calling 60s and 70s post-World War II is like kind of a funny way to describe it. But I mean, you're not wrong. You're not wrong, obviously. This led to the alienation of the black community and deprivation of social programs, thus sprouting the seeds for the numerous black nationalist groups. These groups included the Black Panther Organization and the Black Power movement. And you see, they're already trying to propagandize a little bit, right? They can't just say in the 60s and 70s the Black Panther Party, you know, came up. They have to preface it with like 3 lines of white people bad, black people good. Oh, and the Black Panthers and the Black Power movement. And it's like, well, where did those guys go? You know, what was their whole thing? Inspired by the Black Panthers, Raymond Washington and Stanley Tookie Williams. You see, here's Tookie Williams. Founded a grassroots African-American organization called the Cribs in Los Angeles. This organization aimed to combat mass arbitrary arrests and police violence in the black community. What started as a political movement to seek justice quickly turned into a violent street gang. Notably after one of its main turning points in 1971, where some of the organization's members assaulted an elderly Japanese woman using a cane. You see. The local media picked up the story and referred to the attackers as Crips, mistakenly thinking that their name correlated with the weapons they chose. Since then, the gang has adopted the name, and their main goal evolved into financial gain through violence and criminal activity. And actually, like, yes, but no. Like, a lot of the time, these guys, they're trying to make money and shit like that, but they're also thinking in terms of, like, we don't want guys from other neighborhoods coming in here and selling drugs. We'll sell drugs in our neighborhood. We don't want other guys who are going to treat this place like shit. And that's not trying to stick up for them. It's just like, it's just trying to steel man what they are. Because when you realize these things about a lot of groups of people, you kind of, you start to understand them on a deeper level, and you're like, oh, okay, that's what that is, you know? But anyway, in 1979, Raymond Washington was murdered. Many suspected that the Crips were behind the killing due to Washington beginning to distance himself from the group because of their criminal actions. Oh yeah, I'll tell you the story that I heard from, again, you know, these dudes that were around at the time through YouTube in a second. But in the 1980s, the Crips experienced a rise in membership due to a rise in the popularity of gangsta rap, thus allowing them to spread their influence outside of California. The gang's negative representation in media, it's the negative representation. Also oddly contributed heavily to its membership boom, as more and more young men became attracted to the looting, violence, and drug trafficking that the Crips are notorious for. It's the media's fault. It's the media's fault for saying that bad people are bad. That's what it is. But yeah, anyway, talking about Raymond Washington, I guess what happened with him was he was hanging out somewhere. I don't know if it was a street corner or out in front of a house or something like that, but he was hanging out, right? And I guess one of the things that he told people never to do is approach a car that you don't know, or just like never approach a car, right? It doesn't matter like what the situation is. If somebody stops and they're calling your name, you don't approach the car because you don't know what could be going on. Which is good, which is like actually good advice, you know. Fucking, so somebody wants to talk to you that bad, they can fucking yell, you know. They can yell, or they can hop out the car and be like, hey man, how's it going? But yeah, he went over because apparently he recognized the person in the car, and that's when he got shot. So he literally walked up to the side of the car and then bang, they shot him. Apparently that's the story of that. Ideology and values. In the early years, the Crips were focused on social justice for African Americans and the wider fight against police brutality, unjust murders, and racial segregation. Proof? Where's the proof? Now the Crips are known to be involved in crimes such as drug trafficking, murder, robbery, and racketeering. The Crips are also known for their rivalry with the Bloods, another street gang. Battles between the two gangs have resulted in a large number of deaths, and some experts even estimate this number to exceed the death toll of the Troubles in Northern Ireland. With the organization's shift towards criminal activity, it is hard to pinpoint the ideological leanings of the modern day Crips. The exact politics of the group remain ambiguous, although it is important to note that the group's foundations are purely political. Again, proof. What proof do you have of that, you know? Approach to resistance. The Crips are amongst the most violent and heavily armed street gangs in the United States. One of the most infamous incidents committed by the Crips involves its co-founders, Stanley Tookie Williams. In 1981, Tookie was convicted of murdering 4 people amidst 2 robberies. He was sentenced to death and executed in 2005 by lethal injection. However, this crime only marked the beginning of the Crips' criminal spree, as shootings perpetrated by the gang continue to happen on a regular basis. Most recently, for instance, 9 Crip members were arrested in southern Los Angeles neighborhoods of Florence, Firestone, and Watts. The 9 perpetrators committed 6 homicides and multiple shootings, along with a string of other crimes. Victims of the violent acts include Blood members and an elderly bystander. Additionally, 16 people were indicted for drug trafficking and gun charges with ties to the Grape Street Crips, with prosecutions being held from 2020 to 2022. It's and like it's funny because like notice all the stuff that they're talking about that's like, oh, in the 70s and 80s, this happened. It really, like, the Crips are kind of on their way out. The Bloods are also kind of on their way out. There was like a golden age of their activity, which was actually like the 70s and 80s, and if you really want to go there, like maybe the early 90s a little bit, right? But then after that, they've been just doing that, you know. And it also again doesn't help that like all you got to do is just like take a blue bandana and you're now a Crip. There's really no quality control, you know. Um, the Tokyo Partners, man, come on. Oh man. Uh, One of the tactics employed by the Crips that is relatively distinct to those of other American street gangs involves drive-by shootings. Uh, so they're saying, yeah, relatively distinct. Yeah, I wouldn't say so. I wouldn't say so. I'm pretty sure everyone does drive-bys or did drive-bys at one point or another, you know. Um, but anyway, a drive-by is a type of assault where the perpetrators shoot at a pedestrian or a desired target from the inside of a car and drive away. This approach to an attack is very low risk because it allows the shooters to neutralize targets relatively rapidly while being somewhat safe, as they are inside of a vehicle and hence have a lower chance of revealing their identity. It's so fucking funny, as if nobody knows what like a drive by is. But honestly, like, truth be told, this is like what you would want to do in a dossier like this. Um, the most common weapons used by the Crips, notably during drive-by shootings, include the Uzi, the Glock pistol, and the Ruger pistol. I don't think so anymore. I don't think so anymore. I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong about that, but I feel like they got other shit, you know. Again, this is like early 90s shit, or it's just like this guy, fucking whoever wrote this, Andy Basro. He probably heard like a name once. Like that's what you did. That's what you did when you were a kid, you know. You heard M16 for the first time and you were like, "Oh, dude, an M16, dude, M16s are the best. Dude, I know about guns. I like guns. M16s, dude. Oh, dude, the M16." You know, like I feel like that's what this guy did. I feel like that's what this guy did, you know. Um but anyway, what's going on, Rusty Corvine? I rep white wherever I go. Oh man. Fucking contemporary Crip members mostly focus on gaining profit through illegal means and rivalry with neighboring sets or Bloods. Despite operating in more than 40 states with more than 300,000 members, Los Angeles remains as the gang's general hub for their ventures. While their main income has been earned through the trade of marijuana and cocaine, auto theft is also practiced on a smaller scale. And again, this is like some 90s shit right here. Like nobody's selling cocaine anymore. It's all about fentanyl. You know, fentanyl, however you say that shit. I never learned how to say that shit. It's one of those words that it's like Julius Evola. Whatever comes out first is how I say it. Um, but yeah, it's like that's not. I mean, don't get me wrong. I'm sure they probably don't discriminate like that, but the idea that they're gonna be making that much money off marijuana, like if you've ever sold weed, you don't make money off marijuana unless you're moving pounds. And then cocaine again, like they're selling to junkies. Junkies can't afford powder cocaine, and it ain't fucking 1988 anymore. People ain't smoking crack like that. It's all about shooting up fucking heroin, and well, a lot of the time that's fucking mixed with fentanyl. But anyway, um, alliances and relations. Fundamentally, the Crips are an alliance of small gangs or sets that spread throughout the United States. They also have a presence in Belize City due to the deportation of ethnic Belizeans from the United States in the 1980s. After the mass deportation, Crip activity began to increase in Belize City because many of the deportees were Crips members. Crips can also be found in Europe, with England represented by 4 sets and the Netherlands by 7. In the 80s and 90s, when the group started to get involved in drug trafficking, they were able to form a partnership with Mexican and Colombian cartels. FBI agent Charlie Parsons stated that the Crips distributed 400 kilograms of cocaine in a month with a profit of 250,000. And again, the Crips didn't do that. The Crips didn't do that. There is no Crips outside of just you're wearing a fucking blue bandana and shit like that. I could literally throw on a blue bandana right now and be like Crip. you know I could sit here like that, and who's gonna tell me I'm not a Crip? You know um it just doesn't work like that. And I think excuse me, like, don't get me wrong, I'm sure Crips have partnerships with like Mexican and Colombian cartels and stuff like that, because those guys aren't picky. They'll do business with whoever as long as they got the money. But it's just funny to me the way that they talk about this, the way that this guy talks about it. And then in addition to that, it wasn't even because of deportations or anything like that regarding Belize City. It was literally the movie Colors. The movie, well, actually, I think it was a little bit of both. I will say, I think it was a little bit of both. So there's this movie, right? It's called Colors, and oh man, oh man, dude, should I high Ecuador? Should I high Ecuador? Should I do that, or should I wait for somebody else to do it? I don't think anyone actually will, but like, I feel like it'd be better if somebody else did that shit. That'd be the funniest fucking shit. But anyway, what was I gonna say? Dude, my fucking I'm still waiting for my fists to fully heal. Like, this cut's good. This cut's these 2 cuts are all right. This one's getting bigger. I got that one right there. And it's just because like my fucking hands were frostbitten, so they were cracked. Um but anyway, yeah, like there was a movie in the late '80s. It starred Sean Penn, and there was another dude who was I think it might have been like Robert Duvall. Um, excuse me. Funny thing, Don Cheadle was also in it as a gang member, as a black gang member. Don Cheadle was in it. But yeah, it was a movie about gangs in LA, and it didn't feature too heavily the Bloods and the Crips, but it featured the Bloods and the Crips just enough as to where people were like, "Oh, what's that about?" And then in addition to that, it was filmed in gang territory, and that was used as part of the whatever it's called, part of it was the selling point. It was the selling point. Scott's cutting again because he's depressed, dude. Fucking, I'm just so sad. I'm so sad I wasn't on season 3, bro. I'm so sad. Dude, Jet told me I'd be on season 3, dude. Dude, I was supposed to be on season 3, bro. What the hell, dude? Oh yeah, and then I guess we could look at some of these, but yeah, it says alliance and relations. It doesn't talk about who they fight against. I'm curious about that. Yeah, no. Literally nothing about who they fight against. Literally nothing about who they fight against, which is interesting because it's like I said, fucking Crips kill other Crips. Bloods kill other Bloods. All it is just like a loose alliance. But anyway, yeah, and then not only that, but like those loose alliances also have another alliance with other gangs that are not self-identified as Bloods or Crips, and it's funny because it's almost like a greater Blood or greater Crip sphere. Like I think Folk Nation is the Crips, and then it's also like a bunch of other fucking groups and stuff like that, including white groups. And then there's like the People's Nation or some shit like that, which that's like the Bloods, and then other shit like that. Anyway, um, the Crips Bloods thing seems like an extremely convenient way for the CIA cover to do wild shit and blame dumb gangsters. Maybe, maybe. The thing is, right, because it's like whether it's Bloods or Crips or whoever it happens to be, like at the end of the day, you can blame the government for like trafficking whatever to whoever and then like locking those people up for it. But at the end of the day, you didn't have to take it. It's like that's literally the most basic thing that you are taught as a child is like don't take candy from strangers, you know? Um, and of course like that base amount of logic, that base understanding of right and wrong and like what is a good idea versus a bad idea and everything like that, it applies to everything until you get to crack cocaine in the ghetto. Then all of a sudden it's, well, you see, the drugs were funneled into the community. The drugs were funneled into the community, and so were the guns. And now they locking us up for it. And it's like, yeah, but like, you didn't have to pick up a gun and shoot that other guy, you know. And like it's funny too because like a lot of these things are over nothing. It's like I saw some dude talking about it on a YouTube short at one point. He's like he was one of those like dudes who's been around for a while. He was in a gang and he was around for a while and now he's trying to like he's trying to kick knowledge. He's kicking knowledge to the youth of today. Um and he mentioned like, yo, like you do realize that part of the reason you have a beef with like the dudes up the street who are literally exactly like you guys would be friends if you didn't have this like ongoing beef that was around before you were even here. The reason why that started is because there was a party and someone from that crew was like talking to your friend, to like your OG's girlfriend, and like one dude got killed and then another dude got killed and etc. And now here you are, it's a generation or two later, like those dudes don't even care about those chicks anymore, if they're even alive, if they didn't get shot, but for some reason you are still trying to kill that guy and he's still trying to kill you. Like it's a situation that's just like, yo, like fucking knock it off. Just don't do it. And it's crazy too because like that's it. It's almost like it's crazy how street knowledge is really just common fucking sense to anyone who's not an idiot. Like not starting shit with somebody for no reason. Like you have people who need to be told that out in LA. You have people who like you need to have a come to Jesus talk with them about like, look, don't spray paint. Literally, you know what? Fuck it. I'll go ahead. I'll go ahead. I'll see if I can find it real quick. I'll see if I can find it real quick. Um, fuck. Uh, fuck, man. I just want to see something, right? Ah, yes. Ah, yes. Did you guys know Cowboy is a Crip? That's him right there. Let's watch this, right? Let's watch this. Let's watch this because you're gonna be like, "What the fuck, bro?"
Down here on Slauson at the donut shop. Now we about to see if these niggas out here really cripping, what they really about. So I'm down here on Slauson right now, donut shop. And you know, in the community, we try to keep shit straight around here. I might need you to bless me and shit. Hold on. So
Just wait.
I got a question for you, cuz.
Just wait. Just wait. It's coming. All right. I don't mean to pause and then tell you just wait. It's coming. But like, you are seriously gonna be like, is this for real? You're gonna be like, this guy really needed to be told this.
I got one question for you. Here. Come here. You already know. So how long you been from the hood now? Shit. You officially got put on. You officially got put on. Simple as that. All right. So now you got put on the hood. So now we in the community. We all live here. So what's that right there, cuz? Explain to me what that is in our community. What that is right there. Hold up. I just want to know what it is from you. I want to hear from you. What is this, bro? This says OHBG Ajax the low. Crossed out the H. You left the 3 and you left the BK. And you whacked out the H's. All right.
So I'll explain this real quick, right? Because he kind of explains it a little bit, but basically, the H is Hoover, right? The BK is Blood Killer, right? And then there might be like another one that he crossed out, but like this is just like their little fucking thing, you know? That's just what they do.
So now you struck your
and Hoover is another Crip set, right? Or they're actually not a Crip set anymore. They were a Crip set for a while, but then they were like, nah, we're not Crips anymore. You know, they're literally just like their own thing.
Your name Ajax the low. Now you just put you whacked out HK, BK, and 3K. That's what you put on it. Okay, now. Okay, now I'm saying, but now you struck that up in the hood, though, guys. So now, when an A-Tray gangster's riding down the street, or a Hoover, or a Blood, so he's gonna come down Slauson, and he's gonna see that his hood whacked out. You understand that? So now, you whack their hood out. You ain't gotta answer this question because I already know the answer. Have you ever killed one of them people? No. But you just whacked them out. You feel me? So now this is on your privilege. You feel me? So now
you see the look on his face. He's just like, oh.
You giving the homies and we can test your privilege. You feel me? So now they gonna come up here and they gonna see you whacked out Hoover, you whacked out the Blood, and you whacked out the Tray. Now they gonna ask you, have you ever put in work? If you ain't put in work, why are you whacking them niggas out? You understand that? So now all that is 500,000 cars come down Slauson a day. So they gonna have to see their hood whacked out. So when they see their hood whacked out, which you never killed none of them over there, and you just expressed to me they ain't did nothing to you either. They haven't beat you up. They ain't stomped you out. Had they killed somebody that you know. You feel me? You just fresh from over here from the hood. This is not how you prove yourself. That's not how you do it. That's faulty cripping. You feel me? You a wall banger. You wall banging. You feel me? That's wall banging. So when my real homies see that, little niggas that's out here really cripping, they gonna ask you. You strike that don't make the hood look good. You feel me? That's let enemies know, oh, we over here. So now when enemies see that, oh, they must be hanging over here. So this building right here, I'm trying to buy. I'm trying to buy this building right here. For our community, for us, for niggas like you to come to. So for you striking up right here, now you bringing unwanted attention. You feel me? Nipsey didn't represent that. So why are you representing fuck these people and they haven't done nothing to you? You understand? Now, the homies that beat you up, the homies that fucked over you, they done did you worse than these niggas. These niggas ain't did nothing to you. But the 60s done beat your ass, fucked you up, took your car, run you through the ringer, and you got the nerve to put these niggas, you whacking them niggas out. You need to handle your business in the hood first with these niggas around here before you start whacking out niggas you don't even know nothing about, cuz they haven't killed none of your homies. They haven't did shit. But now they gonna fuck around and see that, fuck around and kill me behind some bullshit you wrote on the wall. You understand that? Because when they roll up, they gonna look at you like you ain't even a factor. When they see me, I'm a factor out here. And they gonna kill me behind some dumb shit. So when you get a chance, when you get paid, I would appreciate if you get a can of spray paint and cover up this bullshit. Because we're not representing that right there. You feel me? Now if you got a reason to say, oh, fuck Hoover, fuck the Bloods, fuck the A-Trays or whatever. If you got a reason, if they done something to you, then you got a reason. You have no reason, bro. So don't represent it like that, because I got to stand front line. I got to be out here front line behind this. I can't turn down nothing. A nigga run up on me, I can't say I'm not from 60s. I can't do none of that. I can't go back home wherever you came from, cuz I'm right here. You can strike this shit up. This is a fad to you right now. You feel me? These niggas don't love you, cuz. So for me to just let you do this shit and accept it, that I'm wrong, cuz. You feel me? You setting yourself up for failure. The day you got put on the hood,
I forgot how long this was.
I told you to set yourself
It is kind of good though. Anyway,
up for failure. So now you just digging a bigger ditch for yourself, bro. Just so you know that. I would be wrong if I didn't tell you. Rocco, what's up, my guy?
like it is the actually, you know what, we got to go back. We got to go back. All right. The reason why we got to go back is because I got to show you. Oh hey, I found my own comment here, but fucking like it's so crazy. It's so fucking crazy how like this is esoteric knowledge. If you're like the kind of guy who wants to be part of a gang, you know. Here's my own comment. I was so moved by this. I had to say basically what I'm trying to say now. It's crazy all the people saying the common sense this guy spit to the other dude is game or knowledge. If you aren't built stupid, you know it's a bad idea to start something just for the sake of it. A lot of room temp IQ people in this comment section. Fucking like better get checked by your homie than anyone else. He got lucky. Fucking it's like holy fuck, man. It's just so crazy, dude. It's just so crazy, you know. Anyway, uh, sorry, one sec.
I thought there'd be some.
Wanted to check something out real quick. I wanted in my watch later thing, you know. Anyway, um, but yeah. So which one should we do next? We started off with the Crips because I feel like that's you know that's an easier one to do. You know. Okay. Here we are. Oh, hey, would you look at that Patriot Front? Okay, let's we'll do Patriot Front, right? We'll do Patriot Front because I already told you the histories and foundations and shit like that, right? Um. Anyway, glad Scott's algorithm shows him weird shorts about Mark Twain's son and old come town bits. Man after my own heart, of course, of course. Fuck him. Damn, people in gangs are usually smarter than that. Dude, of course, you know? Alright, but Patriot Front. Group overview. The Patriot Front. The Patriot Front, oh boy, is a white national and neo-fascist organization which uses traditional fascist imagery conveyed through an Americana chic perspective to spread their message. As of 2021, they have 42 chapters throughout the United States and are estimated to have 230 to 300 active members. Their group's leader, Thomas Ryan Rousseau, is based in Dallas, Texas, but travels extensively to the different chapters around the country to participate in the group's activist actions. the Patriot Front, geez, is considered a part of the alt-right political subculture in the United States. The alt-right doesn't exist anymore. That literally died before Patriot Front was like a thing, you know. Because like I said, Patriot Front didn't exist until after Unite the Right in 2017, and like literally like Unite the Right is what killed the alt-right. Um, but anyway, it uses a top-down discipline structure that is highly regulated by Rousseau, which has provided them with more success and visibility over the past few years, while other groups have struggled. Their motto is life, liberty, and victory. History and foundations. The group was founded in 2017 after the Unite the Right rally in Charlottesville, Virginia, when Rousseau broke off from another white supremacist group, Vanguard America. Yep. Rousseau's disassociation followed internal disagreements among members of Vanguard America regarding how to move forward from the issue of their aforementioned rally. From that point onwards, the group has been focusing on flash demonstrations, flyer and graffiti campaigns, hand-to-hand combat trainings, as well as recruitment drives. They have had a number of prominent actions that have given them notoriety and brought awareness to their brand of quote-unquote patriotic fascism. Their most recent notable event was on June 11th, 2022, when police stopped a U-Haul with 50 members of Patriot Front headed to a Pride event being held in Coeur d'Alene, I would guess, Idaho. There they were found with riot shields, smoke bombs, and other small arms. Oh yeah, I didn't know a riot shield and a smoke bomb was small arms. Again, it's the little things that they do to try and propagandize, you know. And were arrested on charges of conspiracy to riot. On January 21st, 2022, the left wing website Unicorn Riot gained access to leaked chats, server data, and videos of the Patriot Front, which gave an insight to the inner workings of the group. These leaks revealed how the group trained for riot preparedness, as well as their omni-utilization of racist, notably anti-Semitic language. I almost said identity, ideology, and goals. The Patriot Front's primary objective is to establish a white ethno-state through the closure of all borders and the mass deportation of those deemed as non-American. They view the current republic as a failure of democracy, which has specifically let down the white man. In fact, and as they state in their manifesto, the time of the republic has passed in America as the system grows too weak to perform its duty. The damage done to this nation and its people will not be fixed if every issue requires the approval and blessing from the dysfunctional American democratic system. Democracy has failed in this once great nation. Yeah, and democracy is always going to be a failure. You know, not co-signing Patriot Front or anything like that, but you know, it's not wrong. Um, you know, regardless of whether you think the country's broken or not, like, and I'm not someone who believes in dictatorship or anything like that. I'm actually very libertarian myself, but you know, democracy is a sham. It just is what it is. Um, yes, the group also heavily incorporates Semitist anti-Semitic ideals within its ideology, as they have used slogans such as "Blood and Soil," a nationalist slogan which can be traced back to Nazi Germany, and have protested outside of Israeli consulates against Zionist influences. You mean like the left has? It's so funny. If 2 to 3 years ago you had said this, like if you blocked out the group and you were like nowadays, if you blocked out the name of the group and if you took out the word Nazi and you saw, oh, these people have protested outside of Israeli consulates, it's like, huh? Oh, that must be like some pro-Palestinian left-wing group or something. You know, it's just it's so funny how quick it just like exploded. You know. Anyway, approach to resistance. The group adopts a non lethal philosophy, specifically staying away from firearms and tactical firearm training. However, in the background, a number of their members have been caught manufacturing ghost guns, untraceable firearms due to a lack of serial number, as well as being charged with other weapon related crimes. And you see, this is another way they try and propagandize. If there's nothing illegal about manufacturing a ghost gun, then there's no reason to say they're manufacturing ghost guns as a way to try and knock them down a peg. But knowing the way that people are going to make assumptions when they read that, people are like, oh, but some of their members, and it's like, who, like two or three of them? All right. Um, Anyway, the group's general approach to political outreach involves propaganda and compilations of their activities, turning their activism into social media posts and short form videos. Most of their activism takes the form of posters, stickers, banners, and graffiti, while also regularly conducting marches a number of times a year. Some of their events, which attract the most popularity, involve marches with 50 to 150 of their members, all marching in uniforms fitted with a phalanx of altered American flags, as well as with Patriot Front fascist symbols. That was quite the run-on sentence. Um, if members its members tend to target minority neighborhoods for their stickering campaigns to increase the provocation of their activities. Uh, Relations and alliances. The Patriot. Every time I read the Patriot Front, it's just Patriot Front. Patriot Front is an organization pushing for completely closed borders, a halt on immigration, an end to foreign wars, and the mass deportation of anyone not born in the United States. The members of the front are also barred from holding membership or positions in other competing right wing groups. In the early days of the organization, they would hold rallies with other groups, such as some Daily Stormer book clubs, the Hoomsters. Geez, that's a name I haven't heard in a long time. Or even the Houston Gargoyles. What the fuck? Uh, Nonetheless, in recent years, the group has not associated with any others during their rallies, marches, or other activist operations. Yes. The democracy now. Fucking yeah. So that wasn't too bad. That wasn't too bad comparatively. What was I gonna say? And anyone not born in the U.S., yeah, I guess I don't know. Scott, I made an account. Don't see any way to add to the database. Really? Oh man, let me see what happens if I make an account. I just want to. I'm just curious. Yeah, looking good. Oh, I gotta fucking check my email for a six-digit code. PF is good people. I mean, I don't know. I really don't know. I will say that there's really no reason to. You wouldn't want to join a group like that because it is. Sorry, one second. I'm just trying to. Yep, that's it. So what is going on here? Sorry, I'm trying to figure out. Is it in spam? I'll bet it's in spam. Oh, here it is. Sorry. 247 144. You see, the thing you need to realize is that joining a group is not going to fix everything. People join groups because they think that there is a fix for the world that is within reach, and all you have to do is just join this group, and you'll be able to march with flyers and put up stickers and stuff like that. Everything will be all better at some point. That's not the way the world works. That's not the way things work, and what you're more likely to do is you're more likely to get in some kind of trouble for being associated with those guys than you are to move the needle in any real way, if that makes sense. Excuse me. Um, that's part of the reason I don't want to co-sign them, is because for one thing, I'm not a politics guy, and in addition to that, they wouldn't even like me because like I'm married to a brown woman and I'm a libertarian. So like even if I was gonna be like, well, these guys sound based, they do MMA, dude, they sound based in red pill, dude, they're MMA guys, they sound based in red pill. Like even if I wanted to be like that, it's like they'd be like, why are you married to a brown woman? They'd be fucking like dumb about that. But then in addition to that, like knowing what I've seen, having paid close attention to that like very tumultuous, almost Weimar-esque period of our time where like there was Antifa and right wingers fighting in the streets and stuff like that. Seeing how everything went down and knowing how things went down in history, um, you're more likely to end up with a criminal record that like disqualifies you from holding certain jobs and things like that than you are to actually have like a good experience, um it yeah, yeah, you know you know if you got the about section and look at their staff, it's just a bunch of dysgenic people with literally masters in folklore degrees. Oh fuck. And that's exactly what I'm talking about. That like in the beginning, that's literally what I was talking about is you have people who their whole thing is like they went to college for a bullshit degree. They went to college for like spoon stirring, for coffee making. They went to college for coffee making. That's their major. And oh, I gotta sneeze. Oh fuck. Oh damn it. Fuck. I had to sneeze, but I pulled a muscle in my back, and when I inhale suddenly, I try and fill my lungs suddenly, it hurts. So I've been having to sneeze over the last couple of days. And whenever I go to sneeze, and then it'll just be so much pain in my back that the sneeze like cancels itself. I shit you not. That's what keeps happening. But as I was saying, like that's literally the kind of people that get into this sort of thing. Like this is I want to be a secret agent. This is I want to feel like I'm fighting the culture war. This is kind of like the left wing version of that in a certain sense, because that's something that the left wing does a lot of the time is they like to create this kind of infrastructure and stuff like that. Like whoever created this, I don't know who the guy that created this is, but whoever created it, in fact, let's see if they have the creator, right? Let's see if they have the creator. You see open source intelligence or Googling, fucking Googling. That's how I'm able to tell you guys about these fucking groups before we actually read them. Is because all I had to do was Google shit. That's it. And that's what people call open source intelligence is just fucking Googling. Um yeah, this guy right here, like let's check him out, right? Anton is a conflict journalist from France and Serbia. From France and Serbia. Which one is it, Antoine? He began his career in conflict journalism by founding and developing the Modern Insurgent without any former contacts, investments, or experience in the world of journalism. So again, this guy decided he was going to Google some people. This dude, he looks like he's probably 22, 23 tops. He did some Googling and now he started the Modern Insurgent, and that this is his first project. You're looking at his first project right here. Um, he started the Modern Insurgent without any former contacts, investments, or experience in the world of journalism. I like how he says investments, like it doesn't cost $5 a year to keep a website up. Um, Thanks to the outlet's success, he then joined international crews to film documentaries around the world, ranging from the hiding spots of Maoist war criminals in Nepal to reporting on Hezbollah in Lebanon. He is also a student of international relations at IE University in Madrid, Spain. Antoine is fluent in 5 languages, and his interest in politics, conflicts, and security studies and diplomacy has led him to combine his on-the-ground experience in conflict zones obtained via conflict journalism. That's such a loaded term. It's just journalism, bro. With more diplomatic and political efforts through his work in international organizations. Antoine's background also involves academic debates, public speaking events, and analytical research. I'm sure it does, pal. I'm sure it does. You know, like these are people who they went to college for something useless and they got out and they're bored to high hell. They aren't living lives that are they aren't living fruitful lives, and because of that they google some shit and then they put it on this site right here and they feel like they're totally they're muckrakers. Um they are Walter Cronkite motherfuckers. Whoever the really smart guy back at base who's always on the computer advising the secret agent. They feel like that guy is what they feel like, you know. And it's just like, what's even the point, guys? What's even the point, you know? Click Rowan Glass. Rowan Glass is an anthropologist, journalist, editor, and filmmaker from Oregon. I guarantee you he is maybe one of these things tops, and it's probably journalist and editor. So that's technically two things, but it's still like anthropologist. Oh, really? Fucking filmmaker. Oh, yeah. So you made a YouTube video once. His research and reporting have taken him from indigenous territories in Colombia and Mexico to primary schools in Senegal, Kurdish restaurants in Greece, music festivals in Morocco, and anarchist gatherings in the Pacific Northwest. This guy's from Oregon. That's like me saying I went to Hempfest Boston and that's like an accolade of mine. I went to Hempfest Boston. I'm from Massachusetts. I went to Hempfest Boston. And yeah, there's that. But honestly, like it wouldn't surprise me if anarchist gatherings in the Pacific Northwest means Chaz. It wouldn't surprise me. Anyway, in all his work, Rowan endeavors to help tell engaging stories about underreported people and places through incisive research and creative endeavors. Whether at a keyboard, behind a camera, or in the field, Rowan is always looking for the next chance to apply his skills to creative and impactful ends. Rowan holds a BA in Cultural Anthropology from the University of Oregon and is currently an MA student in folklore at Indiana University, Bloomington. Oh boy. Oh boy. Oh boy. Sorry. He's he's a folklore master. Why is he cosplaying it at as Lex Freeman? That is a good point about the first dude. What's his face? Uh Antoine. Yeah, that's like spitting image of Lex Friedman. I'm curious about I'm curious about writers. I'm not even gonna look at these like that. Yes, you're correct. Dysgenic, very very dysgenic people here. Man, man, I'm wondering what strategies is supposed to be. Dive headfirst into the strategic vortex of global insurgency with our strategies articles. This compact section of our database explores the military strategies employed by insurgent groups worldwide, drawing from a combination of Googling and theory. So, Googling and making shit up. These strategies articles are your gateway to understanding the tactics of resistance and insurgency groups worldwide. Table of contents. Jeez Louise, I don't think I'm going to bother with this shit. I don't think I'm going to bother with this shit, but that is pretty wild. Damn. I'm not about to I'm not about to click on any of them and like show you guys a ton, but I was just curious what would happen if we went down. I'm very surprised Antifa is not in here, Antifa should be here, but these guys are probably the types who are like Antifa isn't a group and it's like, yeah, sure it's not. Yeah. Antifa is like the Bloods and Crips. They don't have a home base. They don't have an exact leader, but Antifa is most certainly a group. They've even fallen out of favor in the left. They're just not around like they used to be because fucking whatever. Oh, excuse me. Oh man. Oh, damn. Sorry. So yeah, let's do we're gonna do another North America. We're gonna do another North America. Indian posse. Oh boy. Hmm. I'm trying to think of what we should do next. See, I'd rather do a North American group. Like South American groups are interesting, but I'd rather exhaust North American groups. We can either do QAnon, we can do the base, we can do Indian Posse or 5% Nation. So one is going to be QAnon, two is going to be the base, three is going to be 5% Nation, four is going to be Indian Posse. All right. Anyone who's watching who feels like saying something, feel free to put a number down. Oh, excuse me. Yeah. Anyway, yeah. So one, two, three, four. I'll wait a second, and if nobody says anything, I'll probably just pick something. Four. All right. Scratch Coast says four. I'm gonna give it another second. In the meantime, stress test says two. Ooh. Oh yeah, it just says account information. That's all it says. Settings. Uh, access to my settings page is restricted. Why? That's ridiculous. All right, whatever. So I see a four and a two. You know what? Fuck it. We'll do four and two. We'll do Indian Posse and then we'll do the base. All right. It's supposed to be a deep dive. Fucking, we only got through a couple of these and we'll do more as time goes on. But, oh, excuse me. Anyway, do four. We'll do both of them. We'll do both of them. Like I said. All right, so Indian Posse, and wow, this is the most late 2000s shit I think I've ever seen. Um, excuse me, jeez. The Indian Posse, or IP, is a Canadian street gang formed by brothers Danny and Richard Wolf in 1988 in Winnipeg, Manitoba. Membership is exclusive to indigenous people. The gang makes a majority of its profit. Yes, Danny and Richard Wolf, very, 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 fucking indigenous sounding names. I'm sure they're 100%. I'm sure they're 100%. You know, fucking. I remember hearing traditional Native American names when I was researching the topic. It was Chief Sitting Bull, Walks with Stick. Um, and fucking Danny and Richard Wolf. Yep. That's immediately where I went to stress test. When I saw IP, I was like insane clown posse. But anyway, um the gang makes a majority of its profits from drug and sex trafficking, but they also partake in a number of other criminal enterprises, including robbery, illegal gambling, car theft, and arms trafficking. The gang is known to frequently use violence to further their interests, and its members have been responsible for arson and murder. The gang is also active throughout the Canadian prison system, where they aggressively pursue other inmates to recruit them. History and foundations. The founders of the Indian Posse, Richard Wolfe and his brother Danny, were born in 1975 and 1976 to Richard Wolfe Sr. and Susan Creeley in Saskatchewan. The family belongs to the Cree First Nation. Both of the Wolfe parents were alcoholics and drug addicts during their children's upbringing. Danny had fetal alcohol syndrome and was born prematurely. Oof. Sorry, Danny. Creeley was in a residential school as a child where she was fucking raped by a teacher, leading to her addiction issues. Richard Jr. himself was graped 3 times at the age of 7. Why do we need to know about all that, man? Like that's not a history of the gang. That's a history of the founders. That's those are two different things. You know, I didn't want to hear about that, man. I'll be honest with you. The Wolf family moved to the north end of Winnipeg in 1979. Winnipeg, Manitoba. Manitoba. I'm from Manitoba, bud. Um, fuck. Damn, I got lost in the Canadian accent. I got lost in Canada. I got lost in Canada, eh? Um, fuck. Anyway, Richard Sr. then abandoned his family, leaving the Wolf brothers to effectively raise themselves while their mother neglected them and spent all of her welfare checks on drugs and alcohol. They stole to provide for themselves, beginning with food, but eventually escalating to cars by the age of 10. They were placed in foster care several times, but repeatedly escaped. And again, like, I don't want to hear about this shit, I'll be honest with you, because this is not the gang. This is the people who founded the gang, and those are two different things. Like, yeah, every gang member has a fucking sob story. And, like, these guys are no different. And yeah, it sucks that that happened to them, and I would never wish for that shit on anyone. But like, we're talking about a gang here. We're not supposed to be talking about these two kids, and here we are. You see, wow, this is fucking ridiculous, you know. And is it good? Yes, this is just fucking ridiculous. Anyway, um, the Insane Clown Posse was formed by the then 12-year-old Wolf brothers in 1988, the last year they saw their father. By that time, he was homeless and barely acknowledged his children. The IP split off from another small gang that the Wolf brothers were a part of, Scammers Incorporated. Excuse me. Shortly after starting the gang, the brothers started partaking in armed robberies and carrying firearms, which led to Richard's first conviction in 1989 after a teacher found him with a handgun at school. By the early 90s, they took up prostituting women and dealing drugs. They established territory in predominantly indigenous areas of Winnipeg's North End, where they built a profitable drug operation. Other local youths faced with poverty and a lack of opportunities began to join the Wolf brothers. In 1989, there were already hundreds of members. What's going on, baby? Despite the Wolf brothers' frequent prison stints throughout the 1990s, the IP continued to expand. In 1994, the IP made connections with other criminals in British Columbia and the United States to further its operations. By then, the gang had cemented itself as the dominant organized crime group in Winnipeg's North End through intimidation and violence. This led to a crackdown by Winnipeg police to try and shut down the gang. Richard Wolfe shot a pizza delivery man, Maciej Slawick, in 1995 with a shotgun. The owner of the pizza chain Slawick worked for owed the Indian Posse a $60,000 drug debt, and Wolf thought that the pizza boxes Slawick carried had his money in them. However, Slawick was not involved in the crime, and the boxes in fact contained pizza. Wolf was arrested and convicted of attempted murder for the incident. He was sentenced to 19 years in prison. He then chose to leave the gang due to what he saw as unnecessary violence. Oh, what a saint. What a fucking saint. We got ourselves a priest here. The incident that brought him to this decision was when one of the IP's rivals, the Nine Deuces, fucking A, dude, shot and killed a 13-year-old boy who was not a gang member and simply hung around the Indian Posse. What are you doing letting a 13-year-old boy hang around with you like that? That's your fault. Just like it's the nine deuces fault. The gang ostracized Richard as the shooting of Slawick damaged their reputation. Yeah. Really put a damper on him. Really, a black spot in an otherwise perfect record. Um, he was beaten by the Indian posse in prison for his actions. Meanwhile, Danny was arrested and convicted for threatening to kill a couple who were testifying against his brother. He was incarcerated for 3 years due to this incident. With Richard's departure from the gang, Danny supplanted him as its leader, and the gang kept on growing. The IP soon controlled the crime in many predominantly indigenous areas and reserves throughout Manitoba and neighboring Saskatchewan. Saskatchewan. Did I say that one right? I don't know. Uh, Drugs were particularly profitable in reserves as their remote locations allowed dealers to charge up to 10 times as much as the usual price. The police in these reserves were ill equipped to deal with organized crime and were easily bought off to look the other way from the gang's activities. With the gang's rapid expansion, it made some enemies, including the Manitoba Warriors and another indigenous gang. This feud culminated in a 1996 prison riot at the Headingley Correctional Institution in Manitoba. I'm never going to stop saying it like that. A prison where both the Wolf brothers had been incarcerated. The IP dominated Headingley, where it had free reign with drugs, sex, and violence. It would intimidate new inmates into joining the gang, even forcefully branding them with the IP initials. On April 25th, 1996, members of the Warriors attacked the IP. The prison guards were overwhelmed, and the violence escalated into a full-scale riot that lasted for 24 hours and caused $8 million worth of damage to the prison. 8 guards were injured during the riot, and 4 had their fingers cut off. Ooh, that is crazy. Various indigenous leaders attempted to mediate a truce between the two gangs to alleviate the violence. Their rivalry caused in the years after the Headingley riot, but were ultimately unsuccessful. In the early 2000s, the Hells Angels approached Danny about becoming the IP's drug suppliers, to which he declined. This led to a number of confrontations between the IP and the Angels and their puppet gangs. IP members fired a bazooka at the prison cell of Maurice Boucher, a Quebecois. That's how you say that, Quebecois. High-ranking member of the Angels in 2002, but failed to kill him. At this time, the gang's profile was rising. Media coverage made them infamous, and there was even a movie, Striker, released in 2004, that centers around a young Indian posse prospect. I'm curious about that. Um, uh, movie 2004. All right. Striker is a 2004 film by Noam Gonick about gang violence in northern Winnipeg, Manitoba. The film follows a 14-year-old arsonist who becomes involved in a turf war between the Indian posse and the Asian Bomb Squad. Holy fuck, a now defunct Filipino gang. He is known as Striker, a slang term for a prospective gang member. That's a pretty cool name for a prospective gang member. Usually you'd call him like a hang around or a probate or something like that. You know, I don't know though. I was just curious though. I'm just curious. Yeah. So this was only release. This never had like a theatrical release or even a home video release. It was only at the Venice Film Festival. So yeah, there's that. I guess I don't know. I'm curious about it. Maybe we'll have to watch it at some point. But um, anyway, on September 20th, 2007, Danny Wolf was confronted by a member of one of IP's rivals, the Native Syndicate, at Fort Quapel, I would assume, Saskatchewan, at a Fort Quapel, Saskatchewan bar. After noticing Wolf's IP tattoo, Native Syndicate member Bernard Percy Pascal told him he was in a Native Syndicate territory and that he had to leave after Wolf threatened him with a pool ball in his sock. So he whipped off his shoe, pulled off his sock, and threw a pool ball in there like, I'll fucking beat the hell out of you. Pascal left the bar. However, Wolf could not tolerate the fact that he was disrespected. Later that night, Wolf, along with two others, tracked him down to the house of an elderly indigenous couple who took in youth to keep them out of trouble. He broke into the house and began shooting those inside. He killed two people, one of which being Marvin Arnault, one of the owners of the house, who was shot while jumping in front of his wife as she was shot at by Wolf for calling the police. Wolf injured three others during the rampage, including Pascal, shooting him 9 times. Danny was arrested and charged 8 days later for the Fort Quapel, I don't know if that's how you say that, incident while driving to Regina with his mother. The getaway driver, Gerard Grandbois, uh, Grandbois, I would assume it's Grandbois, agreed to testify against Wolf, guaranteeing his conviction. While awaiting trial, Wolf escaped the Regina Correctional Center on August 24th, 2008. After his escape, he went to Winnipeg, where he robbed a bank. He spent his free time on parties, drugs, and sex. The cocky Wolf even posted on Facebook, "What's up? I'm out." Canadian police took part in a manhunt across the prairies to look for Wolf and was arrested after 3 weeks of freedom when his whereabouts were reported to the police by an anonymous source in exchange for a reward. On November 18th, 2009, Wolf was convicted of 2 counts of murder and 3 counts of attempted murder. He received a sentence of life imprisonment with eligibility for a parole application after 25 years. Oh, gee. 25 years, he'll get parole. He was stabbed to death in prison on January 4th, 2010 by a Native Syndicate killers, a separate gang from the Native Syndicate member. That's kind of funny that some dude was just like, we want to make a gang, we want to call it Native Syndicate. Oh, but there's already one of those. We'll just call ourselves Native Syndicate killers. Um, it's kind of funny that this dude's brother was like, yeah, Richard shot a pizza dude, and then the gang was like, yo, you went too far, you took it too far, bro. That's too far, too much, dude, too much. It was too far, dude. You shouldn't have done that. What the fuck, bro? They really tried to sit here and pull that shit. Meanwhile, this is the type of shit that goes down. Anyway, soon after Danny's death, Richard was released from prison on parole and claimed that he would change his ways. However, in 2013, he broke up with his girlfriend, and relapsed on drugs and alcohol in reaction to the death of his stepson. Well, that's actually sad. Uh, Wolf was staying in Wolf was staying with a couple who wanted to help him get his life back on track when on April 6, 2014, he raped the woman and beat the man with a baseball bat, for which he was yet again imprisoned. He was held in solitary confinement, which caused him to fall into depression and led to his death from a heart attack at age 40 on May 27, 2016. Despite the Wolf brothers' demise, the gang is still active and continues to feud with its rivals, including the Terror Squad. It's like it's funny the names of these gangs. It's like they want to sound tough, but they just sound stupid. Like Terror Squad. Wasn't that the name of Fat Joe's collective? Fucking and then Native Syndicate and Native Syndicate Killers. It's just like that dumbest names, bro. Indian Posse. That's anyway. The Indian posse is primarily concerned with providing its members, but primarily its leaders, with money and power. Sometimes this has come at the expense of its members further down the hierarchy. As the gang is mostly composed of young people, the IP claims to be a family that fulfills the role of an actual one for youths who lack supportive guardians, such as the Wolf brothers. Many members see themselves as soldiers and their immoral acts as a means of survival. However, it is clear that the gang's leaders are mostly only concerned with themselves, hence the constant infighting within the IP. That being said, the Wolf brothers had strong ideological leanings. They saw their conditions, as a product of colonialism and Canada as an illegitimate settler state whose land belongs to the first. Shut the fuck up. They were rapists. Those fucking dudes were rapists. Danny and Richard Wolf were rapists and murderers. Shut up. Shut the fuck up. Fucking anyway, they saw their conditions as a product of colonialism and Canada as an illegitimate settler state whose land belongs to its First Nations. Richard displayed an upside down Canadian flag in his cell. Oh wow. Indian is wow. Richard the rapist, old Richie rapist, sure had that. Wow, he stood for something. Richie the rapist had principles. He stood for something. Fucking Indian is considered a derogatory term to indigenous people. However, the gang's use of the word is an effort to reclaim it. No, it's not. No, it's not. Fucking, that's just what they were called back then. Native American didn't come around until like the 2000s. That's just what it was, you know. Um, the brothers harbored a deep resentment towards whites. For instance, Danny wrote a poem mocking the death of a white man who was killed during an IP robbery. Yeah, well, Danny got stabbed to death in prison. So, fuck him. Although they did not actively practice these traditions, the brother believed in traditional Cree spirituality. However, their red power politics contradicted the fact that IP preyed on and damaged indigenous communities. Yeah, sure. I'm just curious, right? Cree spirituality. All right. Let's look it up. Hold on. this this I think this is one of them. I think this AIDS boy right here might be one of them. That's fucking crazy. That's hilarious, bro. Holy shit. Uh, and then Cree. The Cree or Nehina uh, are a North American indigenous people numbering more than 350,000 in Canada, where they form one of the country's largest First Nations. They live primarily in the north and west of Lake Superior in the province of Alberta, Labrador, Manitoba, and the Northwest Territories, Ontario, and Saskatchewan. Another roughly 27,000 live in Quebec. Um, I'm just curious. I'm just curious, right? It's not saying anything about like spirituality or anything like that. I'm just curious about it. We aren't gonna fucking you know what's that like notable people. Yeah. Yeah, we don't got to look into them too heavy or anything like that. This is another rabbit hole in and of itself. I was just curious, right? Um, yeah, I was just what's it called? Skimming this to see if there was anything interesting there, but overall, fucking it is what it is. All right, don't you worry. Military and political capabilities. The Indian posse is only open to indigenous people, including various First Nations, as well as Metis, descendants of French settlers and First Nations people. So white people are okay, unless what they mean is guy like dudes that were half French, half First Nations. In which case, like, okay, I get that. It is active throughout Canada, but is dominant in areas of Western Canada, the provinces of Alberta, British Columbia, Manitoba, and Saskatchewan, with a large indigenous population, including you see fucking what does this have to do with military and political capabilities? Including on reserves where the economic conditions are particularly bad. In the late 1990s, the gang was estimated to have 500 members. The gang structure was inspired by biker and African American gangs. It is governed by a ruling circle of 10 who are supposed to make decisions as a collective. However, in reality, the Wolf brothers were in control during their lives. Before he left the gang, Richard led the gang with Danny as his second in command. Richard was seen by his comrades as intelligent, level-headed, whereas Danny was emotional and extremely violent. This made him an effective enforcer, and he was known to take on the gang's enemies without fear. Although the gang has an organized structure, there is more dysfunction. There is much dysfunction and infighting within the gang that has led to violence. In 2003, a faction known as the Cash Money Brothers split from IP after Danny Wolf had ordered an IP member to be shot over drug profits. A number of IP members went to Winnipeg intending to kill the leaders of the faction, but their plan was foiled when they were caught with their guns by local police. Fucking sweat lodges, vision quests, drumming and singing, animism, the great spirits, etc. I figured, you know. Excuse me. Um, it would be way funnier if it was just a gang of guys who were just 10% Indian. You know that's definitely it. You know that's definitely it. Wolf, Wolfe. There's two people that I've known of, not even known, but like known of in my life with the last name Wolf. One of them was Jewish, the other one was fucking Irish. The Wolf Tones, right? I'm just curious, right? Wolf last name, right? Right. The surname Wolf has origins in England, Germany, and Ireland, and is a variant of the name Wolf. It is also a common surname in the United States, where it is ranked as the 337th most common surname. Here are some key points about the Wolf surname: meaning and origins. The name Wolf is of Norman French origins and can also be found in Ireland, often spelled as Wolf, Woulfe. It is derived from the word wolf and may have referred to a hunter of wolves or someone who had a resemblance to a wolf. Exactly. Exactly. You know. Um and even here it says ethnicity in the United States, 90, a little bit over 90% of the people with the surname Wolf identify as white, while there are smaller percentages of individuals identifying as Hispanic, Black, Asian, and American Indian or Alaskan Native. Okay, fine, but again, the point being that it is England, Germany, and Ireland. Those guys didn't just get those names because they definitely had some colonizer in them. It's just it's just funny to see. Should I even bother with it? Yeah, fuck it. We're almost done. We're almost done. We have like six more paragraphs. Six more paragraphs. So, approach to resistance. The Wolf brothers took inspiration, and I like how they say approach to resistance when in reality it's just fucking how they committed crimes. That's it. The Wolf brothers took inspiration from West Coast African American gangs and their structure and activities. The common use West Coast where West Coast where the common use of drive-by shootings by the Indian posse being an example of this. Los Angeles Crips member Sanyika Shakur's autobiography, Monster, has been found by police many times while raiding IP members' residence. Sanyika Shakur was an American gangster turned black nationalist and author whose work gave readers a raw look into the violence of LA gang life. He was also friends with rapper Tupac Shakur, an idol of Danny's. The Wolf Brothers were also hip hop fans, and that cultures emulated in the IP's dress. The gang's bread and butter are drugs and prostitution. Cocaine, marijuana, and heroin are trafficked by the IP, the girls the gang prostitutes are typically teenagers. But you know what? They're against the white man, so they can't be that bad, right? They can't be that bad, right? Fucking. But it has been known to traffic girls as young as 10. It got even fucking worse. It got even worse. I didn't think it could get worse. It got worse. Its members have frequently engaged in theft as well, particularly in the gang's early days, but it now typically serves as a source of supplementary income or as a way for young members to prove themselves. The gang is very violent, and besides guns, members will also use their hands and melee weapons, and as beatings are an essential tool for the gang to intimidate rivals and punish its members. Arson is another common practice for the IP. For instance, Danny Wolf ordered a Royal Canadian Mounted Police station in Opasquayak, 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 fucking Opasquayak Cree Reserve, Manitoba, to be burnt down in 2007. Uh, prospective members are jumped in during a practice known as the Minutes of Pain. That's so stupid. Where the prospect is beaten on for 5 minutes. As new members gain the gang's trust by completing orders, their rank in the gang is raised as identified by their tattoos. A full patch member had to have served a prison sentence and was rewarded with full body tattoos. Members have been known to have tattoos of traditional indigenous imagery, cash signs, and shields. The gang's color is red, and members wear red bandanas. A practice started by the Wolf brothers, excuse me. Despite his own departure, Richard Wolf implemented a rule in the gang's early days that membership was for life, and anyone who tried to leave would be killed. The IP also prohibits its members from taking hard drugs and speaking about the gang's activities with outsiders. Although initially allowed in, women are prohibited from joining the gang. However, the Indian Posse Girls, an IP puppet gang, runs prostitution rings in Alberta. Alike to the Wolf brothers, the IP's recruits typically come from disenfranchised backgrounds and unstable upbringings. These conditions stem from the socioeconomic issues that surround Canada's Indigenous communities, including poverty, addiction, and mental health issues, and a lack of opportunity. You see, they just ain't got no opportunity, and that's why they decide to fucking pimp out 10-year-old girls. That's what it is. They ain't no opportunities in the ghetto. These issues are a product of colonial. I sit here, I make a joke, right? I sit here and I make a joke, and it just keeps getting worse. It just keeps getting it just keeps getting more stupid as time goes on. Holy fucking shit, dude. Residential schools like the ones the Creeley was taken to. As is typical with street gangs, such factors create breeding grounds for criminal activity, as economic opportunities and positive influences are few and far between. However, experts, such as the judge who tried Danny in his final convictions, have also commented that although the Wolf brothers and other IP members have suffered the consequences of various social factors, they are nonetheless violent criminals who particularly victimize their own people, regardless of their claims to defend Indigenous people. Well, it's good the experts agreed, because I couldn't come to that conclusion on my own, and even if I did, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter because I'm not an expert. I trust the science, and I'm not a scientist, so I can't comment. I can't comment. Fucking. And here's one of the small little details about shit like this, right? That I can't stand. You're not allowed to dislike Black Lives Matter because they hate you, right? You're not allowed to be like, the organization known as Black Lives Matter is dog shit, and I do not support them because they fucking hate my guts and they want me dead. You're not allowed to be that way. You're not allowed to feel that way, right? You have to dislike them because they're bad for the black community. That's what it is. You're only allowed to be like, yeah, but like they don't care about people in Chicago or Detroit, as if you care about people in Chicago and Detroit. As if you could name any of the kids that were shot in either Chicago or Detroit or Baltimore, Maryland, or Camden, New Jersey, or anywhere in the country, as if you could name any of them, right? You have to play this fake little fucking game where you're like, well, actually, I care about this community, and these guys, they hurt the community. They literally talk about how they want you dead. They think you're bad. They would love to absolutely positively cut your head off and do all sorts of other awful things. All sorts of other awful things. And I'm not allowed to just be like, wow, the Indian posse fucking sucks. Those guys need to stay, like, they all need to be shot. They hate me. They're pieces of shit. I'm not allowed to say that. What I can say though is, oh well, they actually they're actually hurting the Indian community. I mean the Native American community. They're actually hurting the Native American community. So they're actually a bad thing. And it's the same thing with like Black Lives Matter. It's the same thing with feminism. You can't look at feminists and be like, this bitch hates my guts. She would love to cut my dick off and watch me bleed out. And fucking I'm like that's why I don't like her. That's why I have a crush on her actually. No, but like that's why I don't like feminism nowadays, is because it's all about like the best way to subjugate me. I'm not allowed to think that way. I'm not allowed to speak that way. The only way I can criticize feminism is by saying it's not feminist enough. Black Lives Matter does not subjugate me enough. Black Lives Matter does not care about black people enough, and that's why they're bad. It's not that they literally want me dead, and that's why they're bad. They're genocidal racists. No, 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 don't worry about that. They don't care about black people enough, and that's why I don't like them. It's like, holy fuck, man. Like, I'm so glad people are starting to wake up and they're just like not giving a shit anymore. I'm so glad the culture is shifting in a positive direction for once in the last 10 years. It was a long 10 years. We were in the long 2014, the long 2016, whatever you want to call it. We're finally starting to break out. We're finally getting out of here. Um, but yeah, anyway, sorry. I'm trying to catch up. The fact is that despite the poor conditions of indigenous people in Canada and the many social problems that come with them, a majority of indigenous people do not engage in criminal behavior, and the Wolf brothers and their comrades took advantage of those conditions to gain money and power and are responsible for the harm and destruction they have caused. All right. International relations and potential alliances. The Indian Posse's most violent conflicts have been with other indigenous gangs, such as the Manitoba Warriors, and the Native Syndicate. The rivalry between IP and the Warriors stems from their difference in opinion on the Hells Angels, whereas the Warriors were allied to and bought drugs from the Hells Angels to distribute. Danny Wolf believed that the Angels were racist and refused to do their bidding, despite the fact that IP had been approached by the bikers to distribute their drugs. Meanwhile, these guys are talking about how much they hate white people and they're glad that they're dead. The Wolf brothers were adamant that the IP remained independent and that they would never have to be beholden to anyone. Another indigenous gang, Red Alert, spelled with two D's, holy shit, was formed to protect inmates from the aggressive and violent recruiting practices of the IP and the Warriors. Fucking, this is how the Bloods were formed as well. Um, the gang had connections with several other groups. In the early 2000s, Danny Wolf became friends with Jerry Maddox, the boss of the Irish West End gang based in Montreal, after helping the illiterate Maddox read and write letters. Holy shit. This connection proved useful as the West End gang controlled the port of Montreal, a hub for drug smuggling. Danny also met with the American Indian Movement, a non-criminal organization that seeks to uphold the civil rights of indigenous people in the United States. After this meeting, he claimed that he wanted the IP to become more like the American Indian Movement. While in prison, Richard came under the protection of the Mafia, who ensured his survival after his departure from the Indian Posse. Oh, would you look at that? These guys who hate white people and are glad they're dying in their robberies, they're getting helped by white people. Funny. But they still hate white people. Of course, it's all money. It's money, but it's still just the idea that like, oh, like so here you guys are talking about how much you hate us, but we're willing to deal with you. The IP has a hostile relationship with the police due to Canadians' police history of anti-Indigenous racism and the cynicism and a lack of trust in the attitudes of many Indigenous people towards the police. Now, look, I'm no bootlicker myself. I'm not exactly in love with the police myself, but is it a history of anti-Indigenous racism, or is it that they're criminals? And they have the same attitude that every group of criminals throughout history has had, which is fuck the police. Which do you think is more likely? Which do you think is more likely? And again, it's just that classic fucking bullshit where they have to try and propagandize in a positive way. They have to spin this in a way. They have to make it into a fluff piece, you know? It's just stupid, you know? Oh yeah, Richard Wolff claimed that he was taken by police on 2 Starlight tours, a practice that has led to a number of deaths in Western Canada, where an Indigenous person is taken to the outskirts of a city in the middle of the night during winter and abandoned there. Sure thing. So for some reason I'm having a hard time feeling bad for Richard, for old Richie the rapist. I'm having a hard time feeling a little bit bad for him, because after all, fucking, he is a rapist. Um, nah, you know what? I was thinking maybe we'd do the base, but we will go ahead and we'll do the base next time. We'll do the base next time. We were gonna do the base after the fucking Canadian bullshit, but considering what time it is, and I gotta get out of here. We'll go ahead and we'll save that for later. Okay. I'm gonna be streaming Friday night. We'll probably look at the base on Friday night. I will be doing the most recent episode of Fish Tank season 2. So there's that. Yeah. I forget if there was something I wanted to say, but other than just like, hey, thank you guys, thank you for being here. Scott's gonna wake up in northwestern Canada naked in a field of snow with negative 20 degrees Fahrenheit. It is the temp at 12 noon. They're gonna take me on a Starlight tour. Yeah, I'm gonna leave now. I'm gonna take one more look at the I'm gonna take one more look at the chat, make sure I didn't miss anything, but um peyote isn't a hard drug. Oh boy. Anyway, I just got here. Do another 3 hours, bro. I wish I could. I wish I could, But anyway, yeah, I do gotta get out of here. Thank you guys so much for being here. I will see you guys Friday at 9 p.m. Okay. Um, yeah. All right. Till next time. Peace out.